And so once you have the eggs, um, what temperature do you incubate your eggs, and what are some of the medium that you use to
So
sit
I
the
just
eggs in?
the food containers. Food containers are really really cheap. I get those at like at a grocer, or you can get them at Walmart or Target or box stores, whatever. But they're like 75 cents. So I actually build racks using those tubs because they're so inexpensive. I can ventilate them, and they're good to go. But they make great nest incubation chambers. So I typically use perlite, and I've used perlite that has fertilizer in it with no issues. I've used perlite that's organic, but perlite's a type of mineral that's ground, and it's almost pebble like, and it's real lightweight, and it absorbs water well. And you can find it at box stores, you can find it at nurseries, places like
Mhm.
that. Usually I'll put the perlite in, uh, pour a small amount of water in, and stir it up. And you just want to get it where when you grab the perlite and squeeze it in your fist and open up, it just kind of falls apart. So if you get it too wet, it'll stay wadded, hard, and you can't get it to come apart. If it's too dry, it's like dust and falls apart. But you can kind of play with that, and then that's I put it in a sealed container, no ventilation, anything like that. The reason I do that is there's a species of fly that called a phorid fly, and phorid flies were brought over in the 1960s to combat the invasive red fire ant. So they're actually a species of fly from Brazil, and they get into any and everything, and they love getting into nest boxes. Even here in Texas, we don't have a lot of imported red fire ants, but for some reason the little phorid flies are everywhere, and they look like a
Mhm.
gnat, but they'll lay maggots on your eggs. If your snake ever regurges in the tank, they're the little flies you see that look like gnats and lay eggs and have maggots, and they're just awful. So I don't ventilate it, but every day I'll come in and open the tub up
Okay.
and let the air circulate, so that they get some oxygen, just kind of verifying that there's no holes. I guess you could do teeny tiny holes maybe with a pin, but those little flies are so tiny they can get into that. And I've lost, very expensive clutches due to those flies before. So kind of unfortunate for sure.
So you don't use an incubator, you use an actual rack at the heat, or do you use just ambient temperature?
See, I just do ambient. So my
Okay,
ambient temperature is usually right at 83 degrees. It's like
okay,
82 to 84, and I use just like a dual heat or cool, and that just keeps the room at a certain temperature. All of my lighting is on timers, like you would
okay.
get at Target or whatever, like Christmas tree timers. That just keeps whatever schedule I set. I could come in and flip on the light, but if I'm doing something else or whatever, I know that the light's always going to come on at this time and go off at this time, and I can tweak it when I need to kind of simulate the summer, solstice, being the longer daylight period, or if I wanted to cool off the building and hibernate everything in there, I could just turn on the AC and put the light at 7 hours a day, and that would simulate that too. So it's just all simulated, and that seems to
Mhm.
work best.
Okay. So what do you think? I know you said you incubate at 83 degrees. What are some of the temperature ranges that you've experienced in the past and had success with? Or what would you say
I'm
your
sorry.
recommended temperature ranges for
Oh,
incubation?
recommended. I would say um, 86 max. Somewhere between, and it's going to determine what the length of incubation is. So almost every single one of my clutches hatches at 45 to 49 days. Every one of them. Big babies, little babies, it doesn't matter. Every once in a while I'll get a preemie, but that's just very rare. But that's just kind of where I go. I know my friend does his, and he does 81 degrees, and I know his hatch at 55 days. And I know another friend that does like 78 or 79, and his are 65 days. So it's just kind of breeder preference on that. But any clutch that's been 90 degrees consistently for the period of time has had detrimental effects. So heat in incubation that's too high is bad. Now, heat in incubation that spikes towards the end of the time, I've seen that also be detrimental to, a snake's development. So if it's too hot during a certain stage, I've seen where the body will, because when they're in the egg, the chest cavity is open, and the
Mhm.
scales are pulled back, the ventral scales. And as they develop and grow, the ventral scales actually connect almost like a zipper straight down the ventral. So whenever the heat comes in too high, when it's over 90 degrees, it speeds the process of the ventral closing. And a lot of times they'll have the stomach or the heart or the lung outside of the ventral of the belly.
Wow.
So yeah, we always are real careful. And that's why when people have heat failure, or like, a dog gets behind the rack and unplugs the thermostat and or pulls that out, uh, it not only will hurt your adult animals by providing too much heat, but that same heat, can be detrimental for a clutch as well.
Okay.